It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend, a family hike through one of Arkansas's most beautiful parks. But on July 26, 2025, that peace was shattered forever. Clinton David Brink and Cristen Amanda Brink had just begun a new chapter in life. They had recently moved to Prairie Grove, Arkansas, a small town surrounded by quiet neighborhoods and friendly faces. With their two daughters, just 7 and 9 years old, they were building a fresh start. Clinton, 43, was known for his calm, dependable nature. Cristen, 41, was a dedicated mother who loved the outdoors. That Saturday morning, they packed their hiking gear and headed to Devil's Den State Park, a popular but secluded area in the Ozark Mountains. Towering trees, twisting trails, and rocky overlooks make the park a favorite for nature lovers. But the remoteness also means no cell phone service and few bystanders. They chose the Yellow Rock Trail, a scenic path that offers stunning views and also thick woods with blind corners. It was just another family hike until it turned into a nightmare. Somewhere around midday, as they reached a less traveled section of the trail, the family was ambushed. Clinton was the first to be attacked. He was stabbed repeatedly with a sharp object, likely a knife or similar weapon. The strike was sudden and brutal with no warning. Cristen, witnessing the horror, acted immediately. Her maternal instincts kicked in. She rushed to push her daughters away from danger, urging them to run and hide behind nearby brush. But then she turned back. Cristen ran toward her husband, attempting to fight off the attacker or shield him. That's when she too was stabbed multiple times across her chest and torso. The assault was frenzied and personal. The two little girls, terrified and hiding nearby, watched parts of the attack unfold. Once the silence returned, they ran. They found another hiker on the trail and told them what had happened. A 911 call was made around 12:17 p.m. Emergency crews arrived quickly, but it was too late. Both Clinton and Cristen Brink were pronounced dead at the scene, their bodies found just feet apart on the dusty trail. The aftermath: the trail was sealed off immediately. Authorities began collecting forensic evidence. The park was closed to the public indefinitely. The girls, physically unharmed, were placed in the care of family. What had started as a family outing had ended in unimaginable loss. In a matter of moments, 2 lives were taken. 2 children became orphans, and a quiet park in Arkansas became a crime scene. But the horror didn't stop there. What came next would shock the entire state. 2 lives lost, 2 children left behind, and a killer still out there. As police sealed off Devil's Den State Park, the race to find answers had already begun. After the horrifying discovery of Clinton and Cristen Brink's bodies, Arkansas State Police moved swiftly. Devil's Den State Park was shut down. Yellow Rock Trail became an active crime scene. Forensic teams began combing the trail, soil disturbed, broken branches, blood patterns. Every small detail was documented. But there was one major problem. There were no cameras, no cell signal, no immediate witnesses. The only potential eyewitnesses: the 2 daughters aged 7 and 9 who, though traumatized, gave authorities one haunting description. A man with messy hair and cuts on his arms. He came from nowhere. Within hours, Arkansas State Police had put out an urgent bulletin. A white male in his 20s or 30s, last seen near the trail, possibly with visible injuries. Detectives also reached out to the public. Tips began pouring in. Hikers, locals, and even workers from nearby towns started calling with anything they had seen. Then came the breakthrough. Magnifying glass tilted left a local hair salon, and a nervous customer just 4 days after the attack. A man walked into Gentry's Main Street barber shop, 30 miles from Devil's Den. He had long, tangled hair. His demeanor was off. He looked like he hadn't slept, and most noticeably, his hands and forearms were covered in cuts. The barber later recalled. He was quiet, almost jittery. He said he needed a completely new look. He didn't want anyone to recognize him. When the man left, the barber followed his gut instinct and called the police. That man was Andrew James McGann, a 28-year-old school teacher from nearby Farmington. Detectives tracked him down, and upon approach, McGann didn't run. He was calm. But once detained, a search of his home revealed a horrifying connection to the crime: clothes matching the victim's blood, a knife believed to be the murder weapon, a torn backpack just like one seen at the crime scene. But the most damning evidence: DNA found under Cristen Brink's fingernails matched Andrew McGann. Brain, who was Andrew McGann, a soft-spoken, seemingly ordinary man, a high school English teacher, no criminal history, no known connection to the Brink family, no motive. This was what stunned the public. He didn't know them, he wasn't stalking them, he didn't even live near Devil's Den. It was random. ASP lead investigator McGann confessed to being on the trail that day. He admitted to a confrontation, but stopped short of admitting the murders. According to him, he felt watched and claimed he snapped. Authorities weren't buying it. On July 30, 2025, just 4 days after the double homicide, Andrew James McGann was officially arrested and charged with 2 counts of capital murder. He was denied bail. The court declared him a flight risk and a potential threat to the community. The death penalty is now on the table. The man who tore apart a young family had no connection to his victims, no reason, no explanation. Just a chance meeting that turned into a killing. But who were Clinton and Cristen Brink? And what was the life they left behind? Before the headlines, before the horror, there were 2 people, 2 lives, full of hopes, routines, quiet joys, and unconditional love. Clinton and Cristen Brink were more than victims, they were a story. Bearded person Clinton David Brink, the gentle soul born on October 3, 1981, in a small town in Illinois. Clinton Brink was the youngest of 3 brothers. His childhood was quiet, spent fishing with his dad and playing baseball at the local field. He was known to be shy, smart, and unusually kind, the kind of kid who sat with others at lunch when no one else would. Clinton graduated from Southeastern Illinois College, where he studied mechanical systems and electrical work. He wasn't loud or showy. He found purpose in working with his hands, solving problems and helping others. In his 20s, Clinton worked as a facilities technician in several states: Indiana, Ohio, and later Texas. He was the guy who never called in sick, who remembered your birthday, who fixed things without needing praise. But it wasn't until a conference in Dallas, Texas, in 2007, that Clinton's life changed forever. That's where he met Cristen. Woman Cristen Amanda Brink. The fierce protector Cristen Amanda Bell was born on March 29, 1984, in Plano, Texas. Raised in a family of teachers, Cristen was always expressive, quick-witted, and loved to lead. She played piano in church, captained her high school debate team, and always had a notebook in her bag. She earned her degree in early childhood education from the University of North Texas. Teaching wasn't just a job for Cristen, it was her calling. She believed that children deserved to feel safe, heard, and loved, because her own childhood hadn't always been that way. Cristen had a fire in her, a passion for justice, for kindness, for raising daughters in a better world. Friends described her as a fighter, but not the angry kind, the kind who ran into danger when others froze, which she did in her final moments. When paths crossed in 2007, Cristen and Clinton met at a career skills workshop in Dallas. He was quiet, she was talkative, but the contrast worked. She brought him out of his shell. He grounded her. They got married on June 6, 2010, in a simple outdoor ceremony beneath oak trees. No big party, just close family and friends. Their first daughter was born in 2016, and their second in 2018. From then on, life was all about stability. They weren't flashy people. They didn't post much on social media. They gardened, homeschooled, went to church every Sunday, and always made time for weekend adventures. In 2024, they made the bold decision to move from Texas to Prairie Grove, Arkansas. It was cheaper, quieter, and had parks their daughters could grow up in. A place to build a future. They bought a modest home and began settling into the community. Clinton had just accepted a job as a senior tech at a local firm. Cristen had started volunteering at the school their daughters would attend. Life was steady, ordinary, beautiful, until one day they decided to go on a hike. They were partners, they were parents, they were builders of a quiet life, not perfect but deeply meaningful. Their story was not supposed to end in the woods. Their story was supposed to be about watching their daughters grow. They were more than a tragic headline. They were a family, a mother, a father, and two young girls whose lives were forever changed on that quiet trail in the woods. But what remains after the silence? What echoes when the crowd fades away? A community in mourning when news of Clinton and Cristen Brink's murders spread. Prairie Grove, Arkansas, stood still. The town they had only recently called home was shaken. Clinton had just begun his new job at a local utility firm. His coworkers remembered him as humble and eager to learn. Cristen, who had only just started volunteering at the elementary school, had made an instant impression with her warmth and patience. Neighbors described the Brinks as the family with two laughing daughters who always waved. A vigil was held 2 nights after the arrest of Andrew McGann. Hundreds gathered in silence, many bringing flowers, stuffed animals, and handwritten notes for the two girls. Some hadn't even met the Brinks, but they came anyway, because something this tragic doesn't just affect a family, it touches an entire town. We may not have known them well, but they were ours. Prairie Grove doesn't forget its own. Local resident girl, the daughters. 2 lives forever changed, aged just 7 and 9. The Brink daughters witnessed something no child should ever see. Authorities have not released their names publicly in order to protect their identities. What we do know is that both girls were physically unharmed and were immediately placed in the care of close relatives in another state. Trauma specialists and child psychologists have been assigned to help them process what happened, though healing from something like this is a lifelong journey. Cristen's sister wrote on social media, "My nieces are brave beyond words. They saved each other, they survived, and now we owe it to their parents to give them a life of safety, of love, and of peace." A GoFundMe was launched to support the girls' future education and therapy. Within a week, it had raised over $200,000, fueled by donations from strangers across the country. Broken heart, the question that remains, one word kept appearing in interviews, articles, and Facebook posts. Why? Why Clinton and Cristen? Why that trail? Why that man? Andrew McGann, currently being held without bail, has offered no clear motive. He had no history of mental illness, no connection to the victims, no manifesto, no stated reason. He simply said he felt watched that day and reacted. Investigators call it one of the most senseless, random acts of violence they've ever encountered. Sometimes evil doesn't come with a reason. It just walks out of the trees. ASP spokesperson Candle, a lasting legacy. Clinton and Cristen are gone, but their values, love, kindness, quiet strength, and parental courage live on. Their friends have started a small nonprofit in their name, the Brink Family Foundation, dedicated to supporting children who survive trauma and violence. It's a cause Cristen would have championed herself. Their daughters are living proof that in the face of horror, bravery still exists, even in the smallest hearts. And every time someone walks the Yellow Rock Trail, they pass a simple plaque placed quietly along the edge of the trees. In memory of Clinton and Cristen Brink, 2 loving souls gone too soon. May peace follow those who walk where they once stood. Their story is not just a tragedy. It is a reminder of how fragile life is, how random fate can be, and how powerful love becomes in the face of loss. Clinton and Cristen Brink were not just victims. They were a family, and they will be remembered.